Welcome to another podcast episode of Fans in Motion. As Andrew would say, the podcast that you didn't know you need. Uh, this is where Andy would say the deep, obscure Night Ranger lyric, and that is not my style. So I will say, hmm,
Ooh,
uh, he wears his trousers real tight.
that's easy.
Bam! Say hello, Brent.
I would have went with something that would have been off of Hole in the Sun. With we'll get to our topic in a minute, but I would have went with whatever happened. Whatever happened to you?
Yeah, I like that song. Not
It's a
quite
good
like
tune.
not really Night Ranger-ish, but I did like it. I was listening to Neverland. I got one of those oh the iHome, not iHome, like Echo Home or
Yeah,
something like that, or Echo Show. It's one of the newer ones. It's like you talk to it, tell say, hey, tell me the weather, and it says, hey, fucker, it's gonna be hot. And all that stuff. But you can play, hey, play Night Night Ranger album Neverland, and it'll play it.
sure.
And I was surprised how good the volume was on it. Number one, but the sound, it has really great bottom end for this little thing. It's not that big. Just like I said, it's called an Echo Show. I
Is
think
it an Amazon?
it's Amazon. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I've got the dot.
I got a dot too, but this is like this has like a screen. So
Okay,
if it's playing a song, it'll do the lyrics and stuff. If you ask
gotcha.
for the weather, it'll show the photo pictures and all that stuff. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing with it. But anyways, I was surprised how good the sound was. I think I have like the I don't know, eighth generation one or Echo. I don't know. Anyways, it was cool because you could hear a lot of Jack's parts, bass parts in it, that a lot of times you don't hear on phones and other sound systems. But I was listening to Neverland, and a little line that we I don't know if anyone mentioned last time. I met a girl. Her name was Mona from what, Tucson,
Tucson, Arizona.
Arizona.
She
Uh,
said she maybe try to help us.
My elusive mind. I
Yeah,
think
I'm
we
trying to think.
maybe we did bring that one up, but anyways, Andrew is not here. Andrew's wife has kidnapped him and made him go on vacation. I think they're in Alaska, looking at glaciers and igloos, and you know, riding on huskies and all that shit. Um, Actually, it's probably warmer in Alaska now than it is here, but uh, so Andy's not with us. So the topic of the week, what were we going to talk about? It gets hard when that's what she said. When you're 90 some episodes into Night Ranger podcasting, the topics get a little tough. And Brent Tree brought up a decent one. I liked Brent, what are we going to chit chat back and forth today?
Well, we're going to discuss what if the original Night Ranger never got back together. What do we think? What do you all think they'd be doing now? Collect, not they individually, collectively. Would have Kelly and Jack got back and done something together? I don't know. We're going to discuss that.
So
It's a big old what if episode.
basically, what we're looking at is what if the original Night Ranger in 1996 did not get back together. So we're keeping the histories the same. Sticks got back together, and Ted does his thing, uh, and you can look at it as, well, why didn't Night Ranger get back together? We'll just basically say they didn't like each other, right? Like, I will never, kind of like Skid Row, right? Makes
Mm.
sense to get back together with Sebastian Bach, but their happiness of not working with him is more important than the payday. All
We
right.
finally got a singer that sounds good.
Yes. Um, so we can just, pretend like it's that, I'm never working with this guy again, and this guy is never working with this guy again. And there you have it. So I guess if you set the scene of us going into the original reunion, you're looking right around April, May of 1996. Night Ranger was still playing shows with Gary Moon in early April of 96.
Mm-hmm.
And Night Ranger is playing shows with original members by the middle of June of 1996. So it happens fairly quickly. So the history up to that point, Brad and Kelly are with Gary Moon, doing Feeding Off the Mojo, Night Ranger. Jeff Watson has released a solo record in 92 and is currently doing stuff with Mother's
Mother
Army with
Army. Yep.
Jolyn Turner from Deep Purple. I think Carmen Appice was in that group for a no, he was in the group. Originally, it was Ansley Dunsbar from every group imaginable. And Bob Daisley, who I think had a lot of work with Ozzy and maybe is he in Deep Purple now? But so you got that. What we got? We got Fitz. Fitz is he's
Fitz was
doing
with Van Halen.
he was behind the curtain playing the keys for the mighty Van Halen. So there you go. So I'll let you kick it off. You know, it's April, May of 96. Jack, Kelly, Brad, Jeff, they just can't get on the same page. And bam, just what do you think that history would have been from 96 until now? And I will tell you where you are wrong.
I would I would have gathered. I mean, it was funny when they were apart. I used to always think that Fitz should have been doing the Van Halen ghost work because of him and Sammy's relationship they've had in the past. And then come to find out, I'm at a show and talking to a roadie, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Fitz does all the keyboard work," and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Can you get him?" He's like, "No, he comes in, with, blah blah blah." So I think that was a good gig. I think Fitz would have stayed with Van Halen, um, possibly. I think he would have done some side work with his buddies, like he has. Um, but that's what I think about Fitz. What about you?
Well, the Fitz with his buddies would have been, which I guess I didn't mention when I was doing histories. Fitz had a band called Alliance with Gary Peel from Boston, David Lauser from
Hagar.
Sammy Hagar, which Gary Peel was in the Sammy Hagar band with Lauser. It was originally those three guys, Lauser, Peel, and Fitz, and they got oh shit, what's his name? Robert Berry
Mm-hmm.
to join as a vocalist and bass player. Robert Berry finding his fame with well, it was Emerson, Lake, and Palmer, and they, but it was Palmer and Emerson. No, wait, Lake and Lake was the drummer, right?
Was
No,
he in? Was he in GTR?
no. Well, he
Okay.
may have been towards the end, but I don't think so. He was in. They called it three, and it was Emerson, Lake, and Palmer without Lake. All right. So take out what, Greg Lake, whatever his name was, Carl Palmer, and Keith Emerson, right? And you throw
Emerson
Rob.
Palmer.
Yeah. So it was basically Emerson, Lake, and Palmer without Lake. They named the band Three. It was prog rock. I mean, they had, a major label release. And so, anyways, so what do I think Fitz would do? Well, I mean, obviously, Fitz would have continued working with Van Halen, uh, but it kind of coincided Van Halen and the Night Ranger reunion in the real world because Fitz was in Sammy's camp. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's why uh, Fitz was there, and um, so I don't think the work with Van Halen would have continued because Sammy was no longer in Van Halen. If you look at the Marching to Mars record,
I hadn't even considered that
yeah,
Van Halen breaking up. I
yeah,
I, I hadn't even considered that.
yeah. So when you look at the Marching to Mars record, It thanks Alan. He thanks Alan Fitzgerald in the
Mm-hmm.
credits. All right. Now, I this is just something that's come to me. I talked to Fitz once about that. About why didn't he play on that record? Everybody played on that record that was buddies with Sammy. He's thanked in the record, but he's not listed as playing. And he told me that he had played on the record, but they didn't credit him in case that Van Halen thing came back up, that maybe he would still be in the good graces because he didn't play
Gotcha.
on the record. I forgot about that conversation. I only met him twice, so it would have been that conversation when it took place in either '96, which it couldn't have been because Marching to Mars didn't come out to '97.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have been that June show that we saw at the Newport for the Neverland tour. I got to talk to him back behind there. That was the conversation where we talked about like songwriting credits, and I think I talked to him about originally leaving Night Ranger in '87, which we've talked about in some previous episodes. So, um, yeah. So, what would Fitz have done? Well, I can't remember if Fitz played with Van Halen in 2004 when they got back with Sammy. I'd have to go look at that. It seems like that was one of the things, him leaving Van Halen or leaving Night Ranger,
Mm-hmm.
not really leaving. It was just he was making more money doing stuff with I think he was with Van Halen then in '04. He definitely was with Bruce Springsteen in 2005 and 2006. And with all that stuff coming up, I think Night Ranger was probably like, hey, you either need to dedicate this full time or just, we part ways. And I think that's what happened. Um, so with Fitz, uh, I mean, really, you're just with Fitz, you're just asking what would he have done from '96 to '03
Mm-hmm.
because he's not been in
Right.
the band really since then.
And
Uh,
the sad thing is, everybody we've spoken to about him talks about how knowledgeable he was. As far as his music theory goes. You think he would have been a professor at a school at some kind of
well,
music college?
his
You know,
parents, if I remember
right?
correctly,
His parents.
his parents were music teachers in Connecticut or something. So I mean, what would he have been doing in that time period? Maybe he would have went, a little bit more full force into the Sammy Hagar thing because yes, I may burn bridges with Eddie, but I can collect a paycheck from there instead of collecting a paycheck from Night Range. Um, so that would be probably where I think he would have maybe went, but Sammy didn't have a keyboard player. I can't see Fitz going back to bass, even though that's kind of where he made his
Mm-hmm.
start at. And I think Lauser said he was a better bass player than he was a keyboardist. For those that don't know, he was a bass player in Montrose, that second record that they did with Sammy Hagar, Paper Money. So, yeah, Fitz was, like I said, originally a bass player. If you look on some of those later Montrose records after Sammy left, you'll see uh, pictures of Fitz, playing bass there and stuff like that. So, yeah, I just think he probably would have maybe went the Sammy route, or kind of like what he did with Springsteen.
Sure.
He did. Bruce did an acoustic tour, so it's just I think him on stage, and either Fitz was maybe in the background or just off stage, but it was just him and Fitz. Fitz would add some keys and stuff. And you can go on the one cool thing about, Bruce Springsteen is you can go onto his website and any show that he's recorded, you can go and uh, order a CD of it or a digital download.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go look at Bruce's page and you go back to 2005, and let's say you're going to order one of those shows, it's got the like liner notes and it'll say just basically the band is Bruce Springsteen and Alan Fitzgerald. So that
that's the other thing. Where does Fitz fit? Actually, Fitz wouldn't fit in to a Loverboy. Loverboy didn't have the original key. Doug Johnson had bailed at that point. He's back, but Fitz would have fit in good with the Huey Lewis and the News. A Heart. I think he'd been all right in Heart. But I don't see him starting up a all-star band.
Well, I mean, he's the one really. There's not much speculation we got to do. I mean, his history from 2003 on, and I mean, there were rumors. I mean, I don't want to say rumors.
Were they in the air?
No. Yeah, well, that too. That he was teching. Like not playing keys behind the scenes, not playing keys on stage, but actually just being a roadie, basically. I haven't been able to like confirm that or anything, and not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, you think, wow, you think Fitz would be out on stage playing somewhere when he was actually, and with Van Halen, yes, he was off stage, but he's still performing.
Sure.
And it's not something that's unheard of. I mean, the Black Sabbath tour, Robert Mason was behind the curtain helping with vocals. I mean, they didn't hide it, the knowledge of it, but they just kept him off stage. And it's something that every Kiss has done it, and many bands have done it. So,
and the bands that put them on stage, like Warrant put the keyboard player on stage. I think Poison did it at one point, and it just looks odd.
Yeah, well, Cinderella, I remember there were some photos like all the records had 4 members, but then you would see like some live stuff, like backstage, and then I mean, I guess probably the biggest one that would go back farther is Jeff Nichols from Sabbath. Jeff Nichols played on almost every Sabbath record and did every tour, but I think the only record like he's pictured in is Seventh Star, which was supposed to be a solo record for Tony Iommi, and it became a Black Sabbath record. But Jeff Nichols would be one. If you look at any Sabbath record, you'll see whoever Dio, but Geezer, blah blah blah, and then kind of a little bit farther down, additional musician, you'll always see Jeff Nichols as additional keys and stuff. And when I saw them in '95, he was on stage, but he was back in the corner, like being punished like as a redheaded stepchild. Yeah. So where are you going next there, Brent Tree?
Where am I gonna go next? I thought I'd throw it to you.
Well, I guess the easiest route to go, kind of like with Fitz, you only have to do so much of a time period, I guess, would be what would Jeff do? All right. So Jeff obviously wasn't in the Night Ranger that was reformed with Gary Moon. Now, he was in the picture originally. Both, the Night Ranger side and Jeff has said when they got back together in 1990, early 91, somewhere in there, it was Brad, Kelly, Jeff, and Gary Moon. Now, we had Gary on the podcast a while ago, and he talks about that a little bit, that he was there and some discussions were made, and next time he came in, Jeff wasn't there. Jeff has also said in interviews that he was there and then he wasn't, and we talk about that on some of the previous podcasts. And if I remember correctly, Jeff basically said it wasn't his choice. And this is from an interview that I read. I'm almost 99% pretty sure that this is accurate. So Jeff was there at the beginning. Decisions were made not to include Jeff. And so Jeff had the Lone Ranger record that came out in 92, had Sammy Hagar on it. I think Brad Gillis was a guest on there. Uh, Alan Holdsworth, a lot of people, they had a good, uh, crew on there that showed up and played on that record. Mother's Army, which we discussed earlier, had released an album maybe in 92, 93. I think they released a second one in 95. So what does Jeff do? Well, I think obviously you would continue to do the Mother's Army that he did in Japan. I don't think that would change. So what does he do though from, you know, 96 to um
2000.
2007?
Yeah, I was gonna say six. Yeah, seven.
Well, it was, I mean, 7 is when he's out. So you're right, 2006. Um God, what I mean, I would, well, he did have that second solo record, Around the Sun, which was different than um the first solo record because this was a traditional rock album. Uh I can say that I have not listened I've listened to his other one more than Around the Sun, but Around the Sun was 10 tracks or so. Steve Walsh from Kansas sang on about half of them. I think maybe Jeff actually sings on one or two, and there's maybe a couple other vocalists. But it's more of a traditional rock album. Obviously, he would have done that. Would he have done more to push that? I don't know what you really could have done more to push that record. Night Ranger is probably your best vehicle to push that. He did perform with Chris Isaac a little bit before Night Ranger got back together, I think on a record and maybe live. And so would he have done that? I don't know. It seems now Jeff has come out and said in an interview that he has a problem or an issue, not like it's hard or like I don't want to do it. It's just like he when it comes to playing other people's songs, like it just doesn't translate well for him. He's got to like basically make up his parts and play his parts, which is why you don't see. And I'm pretty sure that this is him, like his from his interview, why you don't see him like in a lot of bands, like playing lead guitar for
Graham Bonnet, because if he was with Graham Bonnet, he'd be doing Since You've Been Gone.
you
Graham
know
Bonnet records it on every album.
so
You know,
but he in the times he's done it, it hasn't really lasted. Chris Isaac. A lot of people forget that he was there was kind of a Damn Yankees 2, maybe 2008, 9 in there, where he played guitar for Dynasty Young. So where you had Jack Blades of Night Ranger and Tommy Shaw of Styx, you
mm-hmm.
had Jeff Watson of Night Ranger and Dynasty Young of Styx. That probably didn't last no more than probably 8 to 10 shows, if that. Uh, why? I don't think it was a personality thing. I just, I don't know. It just like I'm going from what Jeff has said, and like I said, it had to be an interview. I think it was a video I watched where he just basically says it's hard for him to transform over to playing someone else's songs, which I mean, maybe it was for when they. Do you remember when? Maybe what year would this have been? 2018, 19, somewhere in there. There was like a Randy Rhoads tribute
Yeah,
that was going to
he
go on.
showed up. He
Well,
showed up.
there was one show that they did. Him and Joel Hoekstra was there, but
Yep.
they were going to take it on the road. And my electric just went back and forth. All right.
You're all right. You're.
So
Is it raining there?
no, that's what's crazy. But like the house lights and everything just went down and back up. Anyways, there was supposed to be a tour and they were going to play the Alrosa Villa. And Jeff was going to be on that tour. They eventually canceled that whole tour.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so what would Jeff be doing? Maybe not much of anything. I mean, what has Jeff done really from 2007 to now? Um, there's no solo record. He has released, was it Squirrels and Gasoline, Squirrels and Kerosene, or something like that? Just one track on iTunes. There is a track that was on a tribute album or a compilation album that came out
Yeah,
2016 or something.
he did the
That
Ace Frehley tribute record.
well, that was a 92. I'm talking like post Night Ranger.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Um, so but yes, yeah, was we could throw that back in before, what was he doing beforehand? He did do that track um on the Ace Frehley tribute album, which I showed the vinyl on the last episode. Uh and back then that was cool because there was no internet. You didn't know what the hell these guys were up to, and suddenly,
Right.
hey, Jeff Watson's on a record. So I don't know if there'd be much difference with really Jeff. I mean, I guess you would just say what would he have done from 96 to 2006? I'm sure maybe another solo record in there. I mean, he did have a lot of songwriting credits on Neverland, if you look. I mean, more than usual. Uh, I mean, if I thought about it, I mean, I think Jeff, like when you go to songwriting credits, the classic era, so Dawn Patrol to Man in Motion,
Mm-hmm.
two, two
I don't.
songwriting.
I have no
I would say it would
guess.
be, I mean, off the top of my head, Let It Run, Let Him Run. I'm pretty sure he has a co-write on that. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah.
I don't think there's any co-writes on Big Life, and I don't think there's any co-writes from him on um, Man in Motion. So he has two co-writes. But if you go to Neverland, I know he co-wrote New York Time. Um, I Don't Call This Love. There was like three or four songs that he co-wrote, which doubled what he had done, back in the um, original era. So maybe some of those ideas would have translated more into more solo stuff. So that's what I got with Jeff, which is a whole bunch of I don't know if he would have done anything.
Yeah. The only thing I can envision for him would be him starting a supergroup.
Well, he had one, Mother's Army.
Well, but that was more released in Japan.
Well, it was only released in Japan because I couldn't get it released in the
Well,
States.
I
And
could
here's the
see.
thing: if you that just shows you how far that style of rock had dropped when now you got to remember damn Yankees got lucky. Damn Yankees got right in at the very right before they shut the door. Damn Yankees and Firehouse are like two bands that got right in there at the very end. But you had Jeff Watson, Night Ranger. You had Joe Lynn Turner, Deep Purple, Rainbow. You had originally you had Ansley Dunbar, Journey, and Starship, and
Carmine's
yeah,
resumes: Ozzy,
yeah,
Rod Stewart, Paul Stanley,
even King Cobra, do
King
your thing. There you go. And you had Bob
Cobra.
Daisley, who maybe didn't have the name, but he is the one that wrote a lot of that Ozzy stuff on Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz. So you have all that star power, and they couldn't even get a deal in the United States. They had to release that stuff in Japan. Um, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, the climate got a little bit better in the late '90s, but I mean, I don't know if you could start a new group and still get anywhere. I mean, look at
No.
Union. You had Motley Crue and Kiss. Uh, now
But
they're
you look at that time period though too. Night Ranger Neverland was out in Japan. God, it had to be 6 to 8 months, like we had spoken about. I can't recall, but I know it felt like it was forever.
I don't think it was that long. I think it was about 3 to 4. I think it was released in Japan in March, and it was released in the U.S. either
Yeah,
in
I wish I just
either
can't recall.
either June or July. Um, but which back then, 3 months, 4 months,
Yeah, there
you
was
know,
no
you
internet.
you
Like
know,
so,
it's a longer time. But
I walked into a record show that day, and my dealer, my CD import dealer, just went held it up. He goes, "I got something for you." And of course, whenever he did it, it was usually Jean Beauvoir with Crown of Thorns or something like that. And when I saw Night Ranger's name on that, I was like, "What the hell is this?" He goes, "They're back together." And I had no clue. I
yeah,
had no idea.
you know what's crazy is that's 97, and they had been together for 6 months and played dates. I mean,
Yeah,
they played 4 hours away from you in Owensboro,
and
Kentucky.
I had no idea.
The only reason why I knew is I
I
called
know.
Drive Entertainment, which I've told the story a lot, and you know, they were thinking I'm wanting to talk to the band. I'm like, no, I just want to know where the hell they're playing. And their road manager at the time had told me, hey, don't tell anybody. Like, who the fuck am I going to tell back then? They're back with the original group and they're playing these dates. There wasn't a lot of them, and there was none really close, but Owensboro, Kentucky, July 20th, 1996. Me and my buddy drove 6 hours to get there, and it was in a Radisson hotel that had like
Mm.
a little ballroom, and they came out to the Mojo music, the beginning bass effects for the first track, Mojo. So, all right,
It's
so
amazing. It's still amazing to me. And
yeah,
you wouldn't have known if you wouldn't have called.
no. Mm. I
No,
mean, I mean, it's just like some of these shows that you saw in Cincinnati, I didn't know about.
sure.
Um, when I saw Night Ranger in Akron in December of 95, the only reason why I knew about that was because I was talking to the guys and they had, how did that work? Yeah, so I was talking to them. They had put me on the guest list in the summer of 95, and they mentioned about playing Akron, and like the next night, like, yeah, we'll put you on the guest list. And that's how I knew they were playing Akron. They were playing some, club up there. And so, yeah, if you ever look, sometimes I'll see clips or ticket stubs like on eBay or people post them on the page. And I'm like, holy shit, Night Ranger was, you know,
Yeah, in
an
Dayton,
hour,
Ohio.
an hour and 15 minutes away. I didn't even know about it. And this went up to, I mean, this isn't like just, this was like during the internet era, just because they were never good at their web page. Uh, so you would never know like where they were playing, and it could be
No.
2006, and you'll see old ticket stubs like, they were a fucking hour away from me. I didn't know that. So let's just kind of mish them all together a little bit, and let's do like what would happen with Jack and Kelly and Brad.
Okay. Jack is probably the easiest. Jack, I would say, would be doing solo records. I think Jack would be doing soundtracks. Were still big back then. I could see him landing a song on a big soundtrack. He was doing a lot of writing. Was writing for Aerosmith, writing for Vince Neil, writing for Ozzy, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Well,
um,
you're doing a lot of like 94. Well, not really. You're doing a lot of like 92-ish, building up to like 90,
but he
early
had a
95.
lot of stuff going on still.
Yeah, well, during that time period is a lot where the peak of the co-writing, went on. But yes, he was writing with a lot of people, Alice Cooper, Ozzy, like you said.
And of course, what year was it when he landed in Ringo Starr's All Star Band?
That would have been 1990. Well, wasn't there long. The biggest thing why he got a lot of exposure because he played the VH1 special.
Yeah,
But I don't know if he did really anything else besides that, um, which would be a good question to ask him. Uh, because I think he had to go to London for rehearsals and
yeah.
stuff like that. So
So I know he's got a Ringo drumstick at his
yeah,
house.
So that was 1998, if I remember correctly, that he did the Ringo thing. But now you could say maybe he joins Ringo's band full time. You know,
Perhaps.
um,
And I don't think he'd be complaining about it.
well, it'd be
I
like
mean, who would?
that'd be like you playing drums in Alan Fitzgerald's All Star Band.
I would fit so well.
Mm-hmm. Fitting and fits.
But yeah,
So all right,
I think
so
Jack's the easiest one. I think he'd still be writing tunes with people. Maybe not recording. I think he'd be producing. Because around that time, let's see, God, Samantha Seven was during.
that was like 98, 99.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I see Jack doing. Period. I still think he has some kind of strong foot inside the music industry versus what Jeff was doing something here for Japan and maybe guesting on something, you know.
Well, Jeff wasn't I mean, not that he's not writing, but I guess you could say there's a difference between writing guitar licks and writing songs and top 40 stuff and putting it together.
I mean, I used to only hear about Jeff when he'd show up at Nam
Mm.
mostly. If he was endorsing
I'm sure Jeff could have made a decent living just doing what the hell they call them when you go to music stores.
what clinics.
Yeah, clinics.
Yeah.
I mean, and he did some of that in the 90s. There's footage if you go on YouTube from 93, 94 in like Florida. Brad and Jeff are doing a guitar clinic together. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of options for Jack. Uh, he was writing. He has a couple songs on the Aerosmith record. "Shut Up and Dance" as being the song that made the record, but there was a couple other songs that they wrote that didn't make the record. Were on B sides of singles. Uh, the big record that came out in '94 for Aerosmith was like their Geffen greatest hits, big ones. So it was all the hits like "Love in the Elevator," "Everything Off Pump," and all that. And it had two new songs, both of which did well: "Blind Man" and a song called "Walk on Water," which co-written by Jack and Brad. So, you're going to make a nice little check there when you're selling when you're on an Aerosmith greatest hits record.
Mm-hmm.
Co-wrote for Alice Cooper. He's got a couple tracks on Last Temptation. Ozzy, none of the songs made the Ozzy Osmosis record, but like two or three of them made the B sides of singles that were released. Um, yeah, I mean, I think he would have kept producing because he did produce even while he was in Night Ranger, um, and co-wrote. So in the late '90s, John Kolodner, who was the AR guy, big influence on Geffen Records in the mid to late '80s, or well, '87, '86, really on. Uh, had his hand in Aerosmith and White Snake and all that stuff. Um, he partnered with Sony, and they had a record label called Portrait Records, and it was kind of a sigh of relief for some of these '80s bands because they were signing these bands and giving them a good budget and a good release. So, Rat was one of the groups. They released a record. Jack had a co-write on it. But the biggest one was the Great White Album, Can't Get There From Here. Actually, they had a song called Rolling Stone that actually got airplay and is still included in some of their live sets. The record is great. It's called Can't Get There From Here. Jack produced it, and Jack co-wrote probably 6 or 7 songs on the record. Don Dokken did some co-writing as well. So you have that. You had, I think we mentioned Samantha Seven, which was
Yep.
CC DeVille.
They were
Uh,
portrait as well.
Actually, a very good um, record. That was '99. Um, And to go back to the portrait thing here in a second, but later on, about 2008, 9, and there he produced Vince Neil's solo record Tattoos and Tequila, which was there was one original song and then the rest were covers. So he's still, producing even, into the late, early 2000s there. So back to the portrait thing, one of the bands that Kalodner got back together was Damn Yankees. Now, Damn Yankees, we do talk, we had Shaw Blades, right? So what's Jack going to do? Well, they had Shaw Blades. That really didn't take off. So if Jack isn't getting back with Night Ranger in 96, he's kind of left on his own from Damn Yankees because Damn Yankees did get back together in late 95. And
But hold on a second. Portrait, which I thought Cyndi Lauper was on Portrait, and here that was from the 70s. 1976 is when that label started.
it could be a
I
different
thought it wasn't a Sony Legacy.
Sony Legacy was like it'd be like what do you got? Well, you got Atlantic and then you got Megaforce or
Yeah.
whatever. That's the relationship. It was
Okay.
Portrait Records. Um, so Kolodner, uh, so Damn Yankees gets back together in late 95. Nothing really materializes. Sticks.
Time out. I'm sorry. Portrait was through Epic in 1976. They started through Sony and Columbia later. So that's where it comes in, where Cinderella, Great White, Rat, the Union Underground. I'm sorry.
Mm,
That's where it went to.
no
I
one cares.
apologize. I will shut up from this point.
Now the Cinderella recorded and nothing was ever released.
Right.
And none of that stuff's really come out. Now I do know someone that's heard it and they said it's really not that good. Um so but Damn Yankees. So all right, so you got Damn Yankees getting back together in 95. It really doesn't go anywhere. The biggest thing that's going to screw Damn Yankees up really is Tommy Shaw going back to Styx because Tommy Shaw in Styx is bigger than Ted Nugent by himself and is bigger than Night Ranger with Jack Blades. Um, so Tommy Shaw's with Styx. Ted does his thing. In the real world, Jack gets with Night Ranger. Well, let's say Jack's not with Night Ranger. What's he going to do? Well, I think maybe he would do a solo record um, on his own. All right. Uh, could Damn Yankees continued without Tommy Shaw? I don't think so, just for the fact that touring wise, I think Ted makes about just as much money, if not more, than taking a pay cut and going with, a supergroup. But Night Ranger or Damn Yankees does get together in late 1999, early 2000 to do a record for Portrait Records. Uh, Michael Cardelloni does play the majority of the drums, but he wasn't there a lot because at that time he's in Leonard Skinner. And I can guarantee he's making more money in Leonard Skinner probably than he was doing with Damn Yankees or if they were together. Tommy Shaw wasn't really there much. So they brought in Damon Johnson from Brother Kane, who has actually been playing a lot with Leonard Skinner right now. Uh, but you still had Ted and Jack. They recorded an entire record as Damn Yankees 99 and 2000. And it was so bad that none of them wanted it released. Jack didn't want it released. Ted didn't want it released. Tommy didn't want it released. Kolodner didn't want it released. It was that
Damon
bad.
did.
it
Damon did.
it was that bad. They even now Luke Tobin or something like that. The guy that produced the Bon Jovi record that kind of really relaunched them again. It's My Life. That record.
Is that bounce?
He produced that Damn Yankees record, and they just basically weren't going for what he was wanting to do. So they gave those recordings to Kevin Shirley, who at top of my head was, did a lot of Journey stuff. And he couldn't really do anything with the recordings. They were just too much of what it was. There was nothing really he could do to mix or change it to get that sound. So again, I
Luke
just
Eben.
Luke Evan.
I
Are you
know. Yeah,
guys?
Tobin
Yeah.
didn't sound right to me. That's why I was looking him
Hey,
up.
Evan, Tobin. There's the N, and there's the same amount of letters.
Yeah, Luke.
Uh, so so yeah, I don't see Damn Yankees really in that scenario for Jack, just because it was there a little bit and it, basically blew up, and now you're just not really going to get it because, um, listen, Damn Yankees would draw a little bit more than Night Ranger, but I don't think Damn Yankees is going to really draw more than Ted. Maybe a little bit more, but you're going to need a lot more if if Ted can go out and make this amount of money. He's not going to go do a tour where he makes less, right? Are you going to go out and work and make less money? No one is really. And I just don't think the increase of the Damn Yankees name is enough to pay Ted and pay. I mean, you gotta think Tommy Shaw and James Young are getting the majority of the pie in Sticks,
Mm-hmm.
and Sticks is doing really good business. Um, so that's why you don't see Tommy. Is Tommy going to, if he's going to go tour, is he going to go make, this amount? And then, hey, now I'm going to go dedicate time to go do a tour with Jack and make this amount right
Well,
there.
they always blame Ted because Ted's hunting when they can all do it. You know.
Well, I think that's a good, safe answer.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
But it's true.
but I think the biggest thing is you, Ted would have to take a pay cut, and really Tommy would too. Tommy maybe more so than Ted, because that Styx name is so big out there in the classic rock circle. And Ted, I mean, regardless if you agree with him or not, he's gone out and been very vocal politically, where it doesn't matter what side you're on, you're going to alienate half the people,
Right.
right? So, and he's so vocal about it, right? Like, I just remember seeing Ted in 2007, Bush is president. There's no Obama yet. There's nothing like no Trump, and it was just him. Between every song, something political, and
Oh, I
I don't.
remember him opening for Kiss on the farewell tour in 2000. Oh my lord. I
And
never heard so many gay jokes.
yeah,
I
which
mean seriously, but that's, different
and
time.
listen, well, 2007 wasn't that far of a
No, I'm
different
talking about
time.
2000.
Um, but what I'm getting at is, I don't care if someone's political in their own, but I'm not real big on them bringing it on stage. Uh, especially if you don't, I guess, agree with it. Like Bruce Springsteen, really political. When I went and saw him in 2016, nothing political on stage. Now he'll do all kinds of politics, whatever, records and stuff like that. Um, but there was nothing on stage. And
Yeah, I think Ted's only saving grace when he was with Damn Yankees was the golf was the war
well, I don't
and
remember.
shooting Saddam Hussein on stage.
Yeah, but I don't remember him like just
But
between
no,
every song preaching out. No, no,
he didn't speak much. That's
yeah.
why.
Well, I mean, he in '92, him and Dave Mustaine did the Rock the Vote, where Nugent was the Republican correspondent and Dave Mustaine was the Democratic.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think, that's why I say Tommy Shaw was probably the one raking the most money in, because there's been no alienation there, like live. And Styx is so huge. But Ted still makes good money. So I don't think Damn Yankees would be in the cards for Jack. But you know what I think might be in the cards for Jack? Sticks.
Really?
Think about it.
Wow.
So you had Shaw Blade. Think about 1989 to the early 2000s.
Yeah, you
Even
got.
you had a lot of Jack Blades, Tommy Shaw, Damn Yankees. You had Shaw Blades. All right. Now the first uh Styx album that they did with Dynasty Young that came out in 1999, Jack and Tommy co-wrote 3 or 4 songs on it.
But wasn't how do you say his
Chuck
name?
Panonzo was the bass player.
He's always been the bass player,
No, he has not.
hasn't he?
He's not technically been the official. Well,
Well, he's still touring with them.
no, not all the time. So in 1999, Chuck Panonzo was diagnosed with AIDS. He was weak, or not, maybe not AIDS, but HIV, um, and was weak. And uh, they needed to go tour for this record in 1999. So they brought in Glenn Burtnick to play bass.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
who
I
had been
didn't.
in Stick previously. So what could to me could that have been Jack? Jack had already co-wrote 3 or 4 songs on the record they're promoting. You Tommy's got a history with Jack, not Glenn Burtnick. I think they brought back Glenn Burtnick because maybe Dennis, or not Dennis, but James Young had a history with him. Plus,
Mm-hmm.
you're not technically adding another member back when that kind of mattered.
Right.
You're bringing in someone who was already with the band and did a record with them. Uh, and I mean, he
And he
had,
could write.
and he could write, and he had talent. But so could Jack Blades. So if Jack's not been doing anything, does Jack join Styx? And Glenn Burtnick would probably still be in Styx if he had not quit in 2003, 2004, because he wanted more of his songs on the records, right? And I get that. But think about Jack and Tommy. They're already writing songs together.
But
Imagine if,
nothing they write sounds like Sticks, though.
well, you can
You know.
argue that, but okay. But here's the thing: 4 songs off of Brave New World were Jack and Tommy. Now, at that point, if you got 11 tracks, five of them are going to be 5 of them are going to be Tommy, 5 of them are going to be Dennis, and one's going to be James Young. So really, all Tommy's songs, minus maybe one, are with Jack Blades. Now, when they go out and tour for Brand New World, not only are they replacing the bass player, but they're also replacing Dennis Young. So now, when it comes to do the next studio record, which was Cyclorama in 2003, Tommy's got the rule of the roost. He doesn't have to give up 5 tracks. They let Lawrence Gowan or whatever write a couple, and even one Jack Blade song ends up on that record because "Yes I Can" is a Jack and Tommy song that was recorded for the third Damn Yankees record that never came out. So you can see, even not really having much going on with Tommy Shaw, he's still a presence in that Styx history. And then after that, you get the Shaw Blades record, Influence, in 2007. That's a tribute album that they do. So to me, I could very much see Jack Blades joining Styx. I mean, he's already has his footprint in there for so many years. Um, and now I think the songwriting would be there, but does
Well,
the singing get in there, right? Is Jack going to be happy?
yeah. Being a bit player for
Well, I don't think songwriting wise he would have been.
right, but as a
But
stage
here's
performer, yes.
here's the difference. Burtnick and Tommy, I don't think wrote a lot together. We obviously know Tommy and Jack wrote, even with Styx, they were writing stuff. I think when it comes to vocally, you would have had Tommy a lot. You have Lawrence. JY always gets a song or two. Jack's only singing 1 or 2 songs, maybe on those records. But you know what? People
How
like
good, how good's
people
the paycheck is what it boils down to at that
people like
point.
people like money. And who's to say that, you know what? I can do all this. I can do the sticks thing and make a shit ton of cash. I can then just release my solo records and might get my music out that way. Um, so that's where I think Jack probably may have went. Who knows?
That's tough.
Kelly and Brad. So when this little
Well,
scenario,
Kelly's reforming rags. We already know that.
yeah, he's reforming. Well, you know what? I dynamically, um, I don't think there was ever issues with them and Gary Moon. There's probably more issues between Kelly and Brad than there ever was between them and uh Gary Moon. So as and here's the thing, it doesn't matter who was in the band in the 90s. Jack Blades could have been a Night Ranger in the 90s. Grunge, they weren't going to do anything. All right. I mean, think about it in 1989, the Night Rangers playing Bogarts, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Jack Blades and that music still going strong. Now
Oh,
take out Jack Blades um and grunge. You're just but the thing with them getting back together is they hopped on that train a little early, but right when it was starting to take off, Eagles getting back together, right? These bands started becoming not current acts that needed to release singles, but became legacy acts. The Eagles, Kiss got to, 96, right? You see Cinderellas and
oh, they had that big Warrant Poison
well,
Cinderella
that
tour.
that was like that was 99. That's what I'm saying is Night Ranger was just a little bit ahead of the curve. Hence playing a Radisson Inn in 1996. I mean, you could have played a Radisson Inn with Gary Moon in 1996, right? So it didn't really matter, who was in the band at that point. Now eventually it does in the late 90s because that music slowly starts to come back into fashion. And obviously, you are going to get an uptick when you have the original members. But I think Night Ranger would have did okay. I think Night Ranger would be doing pretty good business now because bands now, and really for the last 10 years or so, it's all about the logo. Um, we're all nerds. You're a nerd listening to this podcast. All right. You're going to know who's a Night Ranger, but a lot of people don't know. They just say, "Hey, Night Ranger's playing." Oh, fuck yeah, I saw them fucking grad night 1984. Yeah, let's fucking go. Now they may not be playing as big of places, but they're going to make money. I mean, think about Foreigner. Foreigner is playing places, releasing live records, and the only motherfucker on that is Mick Jones, and he's not even at the half the live shows. And no one gives a shit except for some nerds who like Foreigner. They're probably doing a podcast called Foreigner in Motion, and and that's it. And so
Agent Podcastiver. Um,
so I
I,
think they could have kept going with Night Ranger, and like a lot of bands. Now I don't think we'd have, would we have all those studio records that we had maybe in the last 10 years? Who knows? Um,
but
but
with Foreigner, I want to say this. I have not heard. Well, pardon. Let me correct it. I heard Foreigner for the first time. Didn't feel like the first time, but I heard him for the first time with this lineup with Kelly Hansen singing. I never heard him sing one word in that band. And I was off work a couple weeks ago, and it was early morning. I was flipping through channels, and I think it was on. They were on Fox News in the city of New York. In the streets.
Mhm.
It was either that or it was Good Morning America. It was one of the two because I know they both do that.
Hey, I'm walking here.
And oh my God, Kelly Hansen was incredible sounding.
No, I'm not saying that.
I mean, but they
I,
were they were incredible sounding.
all right,
I was amazed
all
how
right,
good they were.
all right. And I'm not denying that. Like when I go, I've seen Foreigner, I don't know how many times in the last 10, 15 years. Kelly Hansen is a great performer and he sounds great, right? And I think one thing that does help Foreigner was Mick Jones was never a guitar god, kind of like Jeff Watson or Brad Gillis. Um, Lou Graham was never that big rock star front man, right?
No, but he was a name. I
Well,
mean, he
yeah,
had some solo,
but here's the
success,
thing: is the the rock
but
stars,
forgettable.
the rock stars and Foreigner were the songs,
Yes.
right? So it is a tad bit easier for Foreigner to do that, but you got to think when you're watching that, if there's no Mick Jones, I would think Kelly Hansen might be the oldest member in the band, maybe there from
Jeff
like
Pilson.
not old like age.
Oh,
I'm
you
talking
mean
like
tenure?
tenure,
Okay.
yeah. Um, so and here's the thing: Jeff Pilson of Dokken, no one gives a shit. People going to the Foreigner shows, they don't give a shit that he was in Dokken. They don't really give a shit who's in the band. They're kind of like you watching Foreigner on TV and going, "Holy shit, they're good," or seeing Foreigner opening up for Journey
I
and
mean,
going, "Holy."
Jason Bonham was on drums for them for a while.
Well, here's an
You know?
before I forget, here's another story. So this would have been probably like 2008, 10, 12, somewhere in there. As when I was in the military, and I was with I think we were going to lunch or something. So I'm with a buddy of mine. He's a little bit younger than me. Let's say 6 or 7 years younger than me. So all 80s rock is classic rock to him, right? Like he was, and he started cranking up Foreigner. Fucking I've been in the Foreigner. I bought the record off iTunes, right? That was somewhere put the date into all this. There was no streaming or whatever. But he had bought the record off iTunes. And I'm saying to him, like, well, this really isn't Foreigner. These were re-records, right? With Kelly Hansen on vocals. Not bad, but you know, I can tell that, Hot Blooded's not truly the original Hot Blood. He didn't give a shit. To him, that was Foreigner. So that's what I'm saying is Night Ranger, even today, as much as people, if you're listening to this, you're warped because you're a dedicated Night Ranger fan. Um, but Night Ranger could tour with just Jack Blades, just Kelly Kagi, just Brad Gillis. They could probably tour without any of them guys, right? And they wouldn't be putting up the numbers that they're doing. They may have to bus the shows instead of flying the shows, but they can make a living because of the name Night Ranger and the Shield. So if you took Quiet Riot, Vixen, and Night Ranger. Oh shit, we're going to go see them. Yeah, let's fucking go and party on a Saturday night. And people don't really give a shit, except for the hardcores. I just saw an advertisement for Quiet Riot and Vixen playing some, festival somewhere, right?
You say
And
Monsters of the Mountain? They're both there too.
well, yeah, but Monsters of the Mountains, but they're right there. We can use that too.
Yeah.
Quiet Riot, one original member, kinda Rudy Sarzo. Vixen, just the drummer, right?
Oh,
The
Roxy's the only one left.
Roxy's the only one left. The bass player took a leave of hiatus, and the other one
And
of
the
them
singer,
passed.
Janet. Janet was
She's
a singer.
she she left, and the other one passed away a few
Yeah,
years
the
back.
guitar player died.
So, but what I'm saying is, all right, they're on Monsters of the Mountain. They're getting somewhat of a decent check, right? Obviously, it'd be more if it was all original members, blah blah blah. They could hype that, but um, yeah, one the drummer for Vixen, the bass player Rudy for Quiet Riot. Um, you don't think Night Ranger could do that with the the Shield? Quiet Riot and Vixen are playing 2 weekend this week. A couple of dates on a weekend. Um, and I just remember looking at the picture. I'm like, one person from the '80s in that band, one person in the '80s from that band. Um, and there for a while, Quiet Riot was touring without Rudy.
Yeah.
And
Well, it
guess
was just
what?
Frankie. Well, it was Frankie
Oh no,
Banali before he died, and
correct.
then And then it was what, a couple months without Frankie? Was it a
Uh,
year?
I think it's
They
a little bit longer than that, but they were touring with nobody from the original. I mean, Chuck Wright, who, yes, he played on one of the tracks on Mental Health, whatever, and then was with them in the mid '80s. But yeah. So I think Night Ranger with Kelly and Brad could have collected a check. I think maybe if one of those guys had an opportunity to join, hey Brad, you want to come play in Foreigner? That would be more of a possibility because
well, that's
yeah,
what I was going to say about Brad.
but
I see Brad going to an established group that's huge.
true, but here's the thing. Side money might be the same as a full partner and a lower version of Night Ranger
Gotcha.
that you only have to split three ways at the max if you're just doing Kelly, Gary, and Brad, which back then Gary was an equal partner. So, that's what you got to look at as the pay may be the same or the pay might be a little bit higher. But do I want to, for a little bit more money, do I want to go play other people's songs or I could play my own stuff and make the same pay? Now, it all depends. Yeah, I can go be a sideman, make the same amount of money, but I'm playing arenas and I got
Oh,
nicer hotels.
you got
So,
nicer everything.
yeah. But, again, I can make the same money and be playing my own tunes and stuff like that. Or maybe he does both. Who knows? But that's what I think with Brad and um Brad and Kelly.
Kelly as well.
Yeah, I think Kelly would have kept doing the Night Ranger thing. Is Kelly going to go drum? I mean, I think they're
Kelly becomes a judge on American Idol.
well, that could happen. I think you
Good.
could I think you would see I could see Kelly and Jack working together more than I could Jack and Brad, in this whole scenario. Um let's say, Brad owns the name, and do you have Jack and Kelly's Night Ranger and I mean, like there are all these other groups that are out there. Jack
Yeah.
Russell's Great
Great
White
White.
and the
We
15,
had Bobby Blotzer's Rat for a brief time.
which a little bit different. No one else in Rat was doing shit,
No, but
you
they
know,
were all pissed about it.
but and you know what? Every review I saw of that said
Said it was a
that
good time.
yeah, it's like, and so I didn't really have a problem with that. It's like if no one else is going to go out and do it, like it's different when you got two LA guns out there, right? Competing against each other. There was nothing out there. At least Bobby Blotzer put Bobby Blotzer's Rat
Mm-hmm.
on there. I mean, he could have maybe just called it Rat. Um, but yeah, I mean, maybe Jack and Kelly do something. And I mean, you kind of piggybacking on the same thoughts there with all that, or
Yeah, with both with Brad and I figured Brad, like I said, would join an established big band, like when he was with Ozzy. Who knows? He could have went back to Ozzy if Zach Wild left at the time. Um, I mean,
well,
he's a guitar legend. He really is.
and the only thing I could like, if you want to do like a counterpoint, um, is and you could counterpoint it back with, well, he fucking was with Ozzy doing Black Sabbath songs that was totally different. Is let's say, hey Brad, we need you to replace Vivian Campbell in Def Leppard, when Vivian got, cancer and stuff,
Yeah.
right? But let's say that's a little bit different because that's just going to be a short time. But let's just say Vivian Campbell leaves. Could Brad Gillis do that job? Yes. But does Brad Gillis style with that whammy bar? You see what I'm saying? Can Brad Gillis?
It doesn't fit Def Leppard.
Well, what does it fit? Can Brad Gillis join Foreigner and do new Foreigner music? Can Brad Gillis? You see what I'm saying
Okay.
now?
Yeah. Point
Okay,
counterpoint. That's exactly right on that.
but I can counterpoint it again. Is It fucking worked when he did Black Sabbath with Ozzy.
Uh,
Now the counterpoint to that again is it's not truly Black Sabbath. It's Ozzy doing Black Sabbath, and that's a good way to make a definition between the two is having Brad's unique style on, you know, you have Black Sabbath that's lumbering guitar licks, devil, I'm gonna kill you, and Satan, and then you take that and Satan, and all the whammy stuff. It is a cool little thing. So who knows? I mean, maybe he goes to Foreigner and people are like, yeah, I liked Dirty White Boy originally, but you throw them harmonics in that whammy bar, it's even better.
or maybe he joins a band with Jakey Lee.
Yeah, maybe he forms.
Maybe he I had another one and I just lost it. Damn it.
Maybe he's in Revolution Saints when Dean Castronovo and Jack Blades.
Oh, by the way, you saw the breaking news on that this week, didn't you? Doug Aldrich left that band. So,
well, I
but
don't know. Yeah.
Off the record, we kind of heard a rumor anyway. So,
I don't think again that band was always that was Dean's vehicle, and
what's the guy's name that runs the label? Fernando, or
I don't know, but
it's really his vehicle, if you ask me, since he writes all the music.
yeah, but that he writes music for a lot of stuff, but
Yeah,
that
all that's his vehicle.
But Revolution Saints was Dean, and they brought in a couple big names to be in there. So Revolution Saints could continue with it being Dean, but I don't think it's really as important because Dean is making a shit ton of cash on the road with Journey, even as a sideman. Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so Revolution Saints is really pretty much probably on the back burner for him. And plus, he's not doing like their tour, but he's got that new record with Generation Radio with um Jay DeMarcus from Rascal Flats, Dean Castronavo on drums. I want to say Jerry Schreff, but maybe it's not Jerry Schreff. The Schreff bass player, blonde guy who was in Chicago, sang on a couple of their late '80s hits, was in Chicago forever.
Okay.
I think his dad is Jerry Schreff, who played bass for Elvis. Anyways, he's in the band too. And I think I sent a link to you guys. Their song that he sings, "Why Are You Calling Me Now?" If that was released in 1986, 87, that would
Oh
have been
yeah, I know what you're talking about
that
now.
would have been a um, huge hit. So go find Generation Radio. There's the band. Let me see if it tells me what that dude's name is. Nope, of course not. Uh, but anyways, that song, "Why Are You Calling Me Now?" I mean, it's a really good song. Jason Schreff. So his dad was Jerry. His dad played with Elvis throughout the '70s. So Jason Schreff, I think he sang on some of the great big Chicago hits in the late '80s. Um, but yeah, I don't know how we got there, but go check out Generation Radio. Why Are You Calling Me Now? Maybe not watch the video. There's some goofy looking, facial expressions in there, but the track is pure '80s rock, and it's catchy, man. It's an earworm. It first couple times I listened to, it, I'm like, this is just too much, like trying to be '80s, right? And I don't think I like it. Next thing I know, man, for a month and a half, that song stuck in my head. So
Okay, well here I have a question to pose for you now.
yeah, well,
Since
yes,
since we
yes.
have all this mega whatever what if crap going on. I see the white Bengals helmet behind you, by the way. Just noticed that. Um, like it orange better. Um, what brings Night Ranger back together eventually? In my mind, it's got to be one of the two movies, either um, Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights was 97, 98. So that's
Oh,
not that.
that's even okay. Then I'm Then
Yeah.
it's got to be
I,
what's that thing that Joel did on Broadway?
Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages.
Well, here's the
Uh,
thing: they didn't even use Night Ranger's version. They recorded, like the Rock of Ages band, and the actors are the ones that recorded the song.
what
Um,
brings them back together? What if there is a catalyst because they never got back together? What brings them back together in some form, whether it's all original or what we have today?
well, I think in reality, what brings them back together in real life in 1996 is money. Um,
Or as Andrew Dice Clay would say, money, 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 money.
Brad and Kelly realized we can make more money with the original lineup. Uh, Jack can make more money in Night Ranger than just being Jack Blades on the road. Um, and Jack didn't have Ted. He's not going to go play with Ted Nugent like Michael Carlone did. And Tommy's got sticks, so Jack kind of needs Night Ranger. Um, Jeff is obviously.
Jack could have played with Ted. I mean, Ted was just a bass player, drummer, and Ted. And
I
Jack
don't.
could have sang some of those songs.
I don't see Jack or Tommy being in the Ted Nugent band. Michael Cardelloni's different. Michael, because when I saw Ted in '96, hell, it might even been when I saw him in '94. I can't remember if Cardelloni was with him in '94, but I know for a fact Cardelloni was his drummer in '96. So in 1996, I saw in a span of 30 days, maybe not even that, I saw all the members of Damn Yankees, but separate.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Night Ranger at the Newport, Jack Blades. A month later was Ted Nugent, Michael Carloni, and then at Polaris Amphitheater was Styx. So you can even see then, Tommy was really the one that had it going. They're playing amphitheaters and
Yeah. They're,
stuff like that. And I mean, Ted, the advantage he has is, he's getting all the money. But yeah, I would think what brings them back together. I get in a scenario, if money couldn't bring them back together in '96, then would money ever be important? Kind of like, the Skid Row thing. But I would always go back to money. Maybe they just get older,
I know what
right?
brings them back together. Three guys from Ohio start a Facebook page
We're
and,
probably
and then do
close
a
to their.
podcast.
Yeah, we're probably more of a reason why they're going to break up.
Oh
Uh,
well, but
so
and we get those three guys, we get those guys on
yeah,
talking about it.
yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, we're we for the first time we get Jack, Brad, and Kelly together in the same room, even though it's a Zoom room,
Zoom room, yeah,
and you know Brent, his thing, fizzles out. We lose connection, and I'm just talking to him, and then I gotta go take a big shit. So I'll be right back, and it's just them three, and that's how the reunion starts in this fantasy world. But the only thing I could think of is
what are you writing down over there, Brad? Steal the name fans in motion.
um, the only thing I could think of is maybe the older you get, things that seemed important aren't as important, and maybe you can meet a common ground. Um, but in the same case, the older you get, the less you want to put up with bullshit,
Yeah.
which is why certain bands don't play with certain band members. So, but in this situation, reverse, maybe the things that kept them apart in the '90s or whatever in the early 2000s, they realize, hey, this is dumb. We're not getting any younger. We need to start building a nest egg. Why don't we combine forces and put the original Night Ranger back together, or at least
Yeah,
a
as
good,
much as you can.
yeah. Um, so there you go, an episode we pulled out of our ass. So what you need to do is on the Facebook machine, Instagram, wherever you're listening to this, or comments or whatever, just write a short paragraph of what do you think they would be doing,
But do it
or
under the show announcement. Don't do it a
either
separate post.
yeah, don't make a separate post. Do it either under the YouTube post that I post, every week, or do it on the YouTube
Facebook. Yeah.
page. I mean, if you're listening to this on Spotify or whatever, obviously you can leave messages there. I'll probably never see them, but but YouTube and the Facebook, and just, you know, if there's something you thought that we brought up a good point, say, yeah, I never thought of that, and Josh is fucking fantastic. Or, if there's something we didn't think of and you have an idea,
Brad and Y and T.
well, there would have been an empty slot there in
Yeah.
2003.
Brad and Y and T. That could work.
Um, Problem is though, Dave Minichetti,
Yeah, he's a lead guitarist.
yeah, you don't when you have Dave Minichetti, you really don't need anybody
But,
else.
but
Uh,
Dave got hurt his hand and he couldn't perform, couldn't play. He could sing though.
is that what happened in this
That's what
world?
happens.
Yeah. Um, Fucking Brad sent, someone out to Nancy Kerrigan his hand.
That's
Um,
right.
so yeah, so just give us your ideas, man. Just you know, there's only one right answer and a lot of wrong answers. So there you go. Fans in Motion, go follow us and all that good stuff. Um, we're everywhere. What is it? Shit. I was going to do the line from Forrest Gump, and I can't think of it. Where, yeah,
Oh,
Bubba
I,
Gump Shrimp, where he compares it to some company, and
yeah, I'm not
anyways,
gonna.
but we're everywhere, and go get your tickets for the Danny Repepe Memorial Show, November 9th. It's a Wednesday night. It's going to be a good cause. Night Ranger with the Contemporary Youth Orchestra.
Yeah.
The night before, we're going to all meet at the Winking Lizard, which,
And that's another thing, by the way. People that are just listening to it as a podcast that aren't on the page, if you've been on the page, you would have had a pre sale code, Fans of Motion exclusive. How cool is that?
yeah,
That's very
pre-sale
cool.
code, all this stuff. I mean, you, it's just a great community. So BB Kilma, go create a fake profile, and just join Fans of Motion. Uh, it's good stuff. A lot of stuff on there, exclusive stuff. But yes, we had the pre-sale. I'm going to have a hotel like link where you can go and get a discounted hotel room. Like I said, Winking Lizard the night before. A lot of Fans of Motion are going to meet there. Winking Lizard always kind of reminds me of like what you would name a gay bar or something. Like, we having it at the Winking Lizard, the Winking Lizard, or the Blue Oyster, or uh you know but the Winking Lizard. So it'll be a good time. You can buy me a drink. uh
Yeah, and I hope to be there. I'm gonna let this cat out of the bag. I ain't looking for no sympathy. I'm gonna have an operation done. That's why I kind of posted. I don't know if I'm gonna
Listen,
be there the
listen,
week.
I think it's brave. So
Yeah, I know. I'm
it's
gonna get.
no longer going to be Brent, it's going to be Bernice. um
So when I do
he's
this, it'll be out
he's
to here now.
he's having
No.
his dick chopped off and having a breast
Oh no,
reduction.
I'm not gonna get rid of that. I'm not getting rid of that ever. But no, I've got a little facial thing going on, and I'm gonna get that removed, and I'm gonna have some skin pulled up and what have you. And I don't know if I'm gonna look like I'm not gonna look any better. They tell me, but I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna be swollen. I don't know if I'm gonna be looking like John Merrick, the Elephant Man. But I'm gonna look pretty scary for a couple weeks, supposedly. So, with that being said, if I'm doing the podcast, you'll probably see that, you know,
Yes,
what have you. It just depends. I don't know. I don't know where this journey is going to take me in over that
we'll
time
just
period.
we'll
But
just
I'm hope I haven't bought a ticket because I don't know that I can if I can physically make it or not. I have no idea. I really want to go. It's going to suck ass if I don't get to go.
the hardest ticket to get is going to be the pre party at the Winking Lizards. So
I know, but
hopefully,
I know people.
but well, that doesn't help you. Uh,
Okay.
it's
Especially if I look different at that point.
well,
That
uh,
actually that would help me.
yeah. Um,
I am an animal.
you can
So
just wear Carrie's wolf mask that he is
there
the
you go.
drum solo in. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. If you're still listening, you are a true diehard Night Ranger fan. Who knew so many of us existed? Brent, me, and you out there listening.
And Andy's not here, so you know they didn't
Yeah,
like him if they stayed around.
yeah, well, all right. So until next week, my friends. If I can get my mouse working here. All right, hey, there we go.
Gonna
All
disappear,
right,
huh?
hey, thanks for joining us, Brent. Tell them goodbye.
Bye, Brent.